sources to generate the leads. Internet web leads is going to be probably our biggest source. You know, we have 2,500 people in our database, probably 80% of which were generated through SEO and Craigslist even years ago. So I'm focusing right now on mining the base. In fact, I don't have much new leads coming in at all. So those are the original sources. Separate from that, lead source would be door knocking, notice of trustee sales. We use Rebo for that.
I also use Rebo Gateway, but one thing I think you guys haven't mentioned yet is farming. A lot of agents don't really do farming anymore. I started a farm about 3.5 years ago, and that one particular farm is very, very small. It's 260 homes, and I would say about 10 to 15% of my business comes from it. I was fortunate where there was nobody that really owned that area when I started, so I became kind of the realtor for the area pretty quick. It doesn't always happen that way, but if you think you might consider doing a farm, don't do it unless you have the money to do it for at least 6 months. Because if you do, I've made that mistake, we probably all have, where you just throw out a postcard and hope that something is going to work, and you really can't do that. You've got to be sending out newsletters, you need to get out and meet the neighbors, and you really need to become the expert for everything. And they don't call me just for real estate, they call me for handymen, they call me for contractors, for granite companies, and all sorts of stuff. You just want to be the expert if you're going to do a farm.
Excellent, thank you guys. So let's start with Jeremy this time. Do you utilize social media, and does it increase your business?
All right, I do, and I'm sometimes maybe a little too distracted and overly active on my social media, to be honest.
Really?
So yeah, I definitely use social media. I have found one deal, one closing so far from Facebook, one buyer in progress from Facebook. The most, turns out, I think the hidden gem in social media that I think we should all consider how to leverage and focus on is to use it to connect with agents. I think traditionally we've thought of social media as a way to connect with prospective home buyers and sellers. And we can do that when they register on our websites. You know, we can take their email addresses, or wherever you have, if you meet them at an open house, you put their email address into Facebook, you friend them. Great. So now that's a good way to connect with consumers. But I think what I hear from the people that are finding Facebook and Twitter to be the most constructive is that they're actually using it to create a footprint and an impression of service and a standard that other agents are attracted to and can be bought into, and therefore send referrals. I have 35,000 followers on Twitter. I have the largest Twitter account for San Diego real estate, and I have not yet found that to be particularly leverageful, if that's a word. But I would like to figure out how to leverage that. And what I realized about that is that about 20 or 25,000 of my followers are actually real estate agents or realtors around the world.
Excellent.
How I use social media, of course we do have a presence in social media. We have 60 followers on Twitter. We need to obviously increase that. No,
You just opened that one up this
yeah,
month.
I did.
How many you have?
60.
But he just opened it. It's a brilliant.
Right. Facebook though is what I utilize a lot more. How I utilize it is in my conversations. So when I'm having conversations with past clients here, I jump on their Facebook and I get very intrusive, and I'm looking at where their kid's name, or I see what they were doing last weekend, and I use it to enhance our conversations. I'm on it again too much, I'm sure of, but definitely use it strategically rather than as a source. I have gotten leads through Facebook because of conversations or reaching out to people. I know people are on Facebook, so a lot of times instead of sending them an email, I'll send them a message through Facebook. So is Facebook generating or social media generating leads? Yes, but through us reaching out to them through it. utilizing it because we know they're there.
So like to help you with the conversion, not necessarily to meet them, but to connect with them and then therefore draw them in.
I've had some great experiences with Facebook. I also use LinkedIn, although I don't get as much from it. But Facebook, I actually think is a phenomenal tool. It really is. The one thing I would advise is be careful with posting any sort of political or personal views. There's too many people out there that do it, and you will lose potential business over it. I have a lot of realtors on my Facebook, even from my office, and some of them I just completely hide them from timelines because I don't want to hear what they have to say. And assume that somebody's probably going to do that to you if they don't like what you have to say. I've never once on Facebook asked for a referral, but what I do is I try to tell, Joe knows because he's on my Facebook, I put funny stories of real estate. Like, I don't know, tripping with a client, breaking my iPad last month, or,
That doesn't sound funny at all.
The
It's
cat.
funny because I had a
I like the killer cat story is the one that I like.
But all sorts of, I'm sorry?
also had a car accident.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. I wasn't exactly getting that for any real estate.
No, but still it drew us into it.
But yeah, I mean, I try to make it a little bit personal and not just real estate because I assume that everybody on Facebook knows at least one or two other realtors. So I don't want to be the one posting things that are not of interest. If I see a really bad remodel or an amazing view, I'll post that up. Maybe it just listed here and there, but not all the time. I think you want to just have them remember what you do so that they're there for, you're there for a referral, but not necessarily shove it down their throat. I think a lot of agents tend to do that because they're so desperate to get those referrals, but you just have to kind of put yourself in their shoes. If I wasn't an agent, would I want to be getting reminders 10 times a day that they need a real estate referral? I think it's a tough way to do it, but if you do it right, you can definitely get some great business from it.
Great, I'm gonna go off for just a little bit off the plan script. I just wanna
That's
ask you
not
guys a
allowed,
question
sir.
really quick. Are all of you in the KW referral group on Facebook? And have you found anything from there?
Yes, there's multiple good ones, 3 that I can think of.
Yeah, there's one main one that's the KW referral group. It's got probably 6,000 or 7,000 realtors on it right now that are all Keller Williams realtors, and they're constantly asking for referrals throughout the United States. So make sure that you get onto the KW referral group. I get probably things that come off of that 4 or 5 a month that are coming to the San Diego or Southern California area. Okay, so KW referral group, and Jeremy, you are in that.
I am.
Excellent. Okay, so what other technology tools do you guys use? I guess we're back to Bridget first.
I think we talked about them already, most of them. DocuSign, eEdge, Constant Contact, tons of apps on iPad. I couldn't think of most of them. I also use Postlets to post my listings.
Great stuff.
I've got a question. I noticed both you have iPads. Do you find that as the best tool to use as a realtor as opposed to a laptop, like a regular PC, so forth? I mean,
There was a time when I had a laptop and an iPad, and I stopped carrying my laptop around.
so you can get everything done with that.
Everything that you want to get done, you get done with this. If I didn't have the desktops in the office, I would probably still be using my iPad.
There's no restrictions, like certain websites you can get on, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, there's things that you have to work around, but at the same time, I don't find too much of a challenge.
I'm not as savvy as him probably on the iPad. I'm still fairly new on my iPad, so I still have my desktop. It's all, your own personal level of
Yeah.
comfort. Can be done apparently.
They're so cool.
Great.
They're gonna appear cool, right?
So back to technology tools that you use.
Okay. She mentioned Constant Contact. I use iContact. So they're competitors, and these are trusted email marketing tools. So eEdge provides you the ability to send email, and it's included in your monthly fee, and it's pretty good. But there's some word on the street that people are concerned that delivery rates of those emails are not so high. And what that means technically to you is that it sends email to your people, but those emails often end up in the junk folder, right? So with Constant Contact, or I'm using iContact, which you see them when you get these emails from different folks. It not only lets us know how many people opened this email, but how many people actually clicked on what links in the email that we sent them. So a good example of how I'm able to leverage that would be from this morning. I was able to make about 15 contacts to people who were in my database of 2,500 people. I sent an email last week. I know exactly which 100 people actually clicked, and then I can cross-reference their phone number. So when I called these 100 and some odd people yesterday evening and today, I knew that they had already clicked on something. So to me that was pretty compelling because I like doing the prospecting and I think I'm okay at it, but I like to speak with people that I think have some established interest, and this lets me know the right people to call and when. So that's part of the reason I like it. Happy Grasshopper, we mentioned the other day. Happy Grasshopper is a really good tool. Who wants to tell about Happy Grasshopper?
I like it.
You like it? Go ahead, Dawn, what do you think of it? What do you do? What's it about?
Happy Grasshopper
Yeah.
is an email service that you can sign up for that's different than your usual, I'm doing this and those that have sold this house or what have you. It's a company that creates their own message and you get to approve it. And it's very quick, easy, and usually it's funny and entertaining is what they're about. And like I said, I've always, this is our second month now, we're on third, and I've had people contact me I've not been able to reach because they received that in the mail.
Awesome, yeah, so just in summary, it's an automatic keep in touch system where they write the emails and send the emails for you, as long as you approve them. Unless you don't approve them, it'll send them. They're typically a little quirky and a little definitely engaging. It's a soft touch, it's for keep in touch, it's for mess. And it keeps me on track. The thing that I like most about it is that I don't need to, just fire and forget. If I don't mess with it, it just does it. If I want to mess with it or futz around with what it said or pick, you know, if I don't like a particular subject that it's going to send, I can pick a different one. And I like it.
Great. So some technology tools for everybody. All right, great. The next question was how do you systemize customer follow-up? I think we've kind of gotten through some of that, haven't we already? So you've got different ways. You've got the e-edge and Happy Grasshopper.
There's another real good one
there.
for that, if
Okay.
I may interject, and that's send out cards, right? And that, so many of you are receiving send out cards, and I had that in the systemizing customer follow-up section. I use send out cards, right? It's not always the cheapest way to send a custom postcard or a gift, like a gift card, right? But I like it. Do you guys use something like send out cards to send your?
I did, and then I realized, just my opinion, the best technology is the good old fashioned handwritten notes. That I get a lot more return on that, but they are very time consuming.
Okay.
Excellent. So handwritten notes is still a good thing. Is everybody writing hand?
That's a great system, right? Handwritten note.
Good things. Okay, so what do you think an up-and-coming market is? I guess we're starting with Jeremy this time.
Well, I think that we're in a bubble right now. Yeah, we have artificially low inventory, and I think what you're going to see is that the market's going to plateau, especially if and when interest rates rise, and you're going to see some releasing a little bit more of the inventory. Supposedly, I think this is a bunch of smoke blowing, but I'm going to meet with Bank of America next week because the young woman that contacted me said that they're going to release 100,000 properties next month. Bank of America alone.
Wow.
Where?
Was her name Adrian?
Well, she said in San Diego, but that's impossible. We only sold 28,000 homes all of last year. So San Diego represents about a 3% market share of the total market in the United States. So if they release 100,000 properties next month, that'd be 3,000 properties into the San Diego market, and we only sell about 2,500 or 2,800 homes per month.
So that's about, yeah.
So that seems somehow possible. So if that, I guess in a nutshell, I think we're going to see inventory, listings are going to start to come back in, and I guess the message that goes behind that is, don't abandon these buyers. Stick with these buyers. Get them into escrows. Keep in touch with them, even if they temporarily, get frustrated. Even if they keep failing escrows, even if they, because the market will sort of plateau and we'll be able to help them again.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? What's in it for B of A? Why would they do that? What's their purpose?
Yeah,
Why would they do that?
Yeah, I don't anticipate the banks ever releasing the floodgates on these properties, and I think what they have successfully done as a result of what they've done over the last 5 years is that they figured out how to space this out now,
Okay.
right? And so even if month after month, the major banks and GSAs start to release inventory, just as a natural part of, people doing loan mods and people buying back into the market and, and so on, we're gonna see the trickle can continue, and it's 3 to 5 years more.
I had a great statistic that was presented to us at the ALC meeting this week, that in February of 2012, there was about 2,500 homes that sold. In February of 2013, there was about 2,500 homes that sold. So when it comes down to homes selling, they're still selling at the same rate. The market obviously has an inventory issue, but there's still the same amount of people are getting into escrow. That means about 5,000 sides were done in February. So the same amount of sides are going on. What I think though is we're not passing along the message to people fast enough that it's a great time to sell. So I'm going after a lot of people who are baby boomers, who the kids are going out of the house, they've had equity because they've been in their houses for a long period of time. And I think that that's a great market to go after, because they're gonna be able to sell and then buy another one with the equity that they're gonna be able to purchase. It's gonna be a little bit challenging, they may give up at some stage, keep fighting for them, let them know that houses are selling. But it's just a matter of having a strong mindset going forward into the market right now.
I agree. I think the three strongest markets, or the three potential strong markets, are baby boomers for listings, and for buyers, single females. They are growing and growing, and even in the last couple of years already, there's more single women purchasing than single men. So for buyers, that's a huge one. And then also for the short sales that you are doing or have been doing for the last couple of years, they'll be able to buy again soon. They may not be emotionally ready, so you need to, just because they can buy doesn't mean they will, but keep in touch with those people because they'll probably buy from you. I mean, the short sale is such a detailed process that you've bonded with these people, so just make sure you keep in touch and they'll buy from you in a couple of years.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What separates you from other realtors who may not be as successful as you guys? I guess this is the Billy stuff,
You know what, I think the thing that has kept us in the business for as long as we've been is the commitment and and treating this as a job. There's not a day that we wake up that we don't think that we have to go to work, and doing the exact same thing every single day without fear. We know what works, and so we know that if we just repeat that action time over time, it will work. So it's a commitment and a dedication, hard work, a mindset of making sure that things are it's just keeping a good mindset.
Your turn.
The best thing I could come up with is I think I've probably failed more times than a lot of you. Failing forward, I guess, is the way I like to look at it. You always learn a lot more when you fail than when you don't, I think. So you just try to turn it into a positive. And the other thing is accountability. I have a lot of accountability partners. I have one almost every day, and sometimes multiple times a day. That's changed my business probably more than anything else.
All right. I wrote down consistency. I think that is a personal strength for me. I am here. I am working it, and I'm consistent personally and professionally. Right. So to me, that means that I keep a schedule. I follow the process. I don't pretend that I work for myself. Right. I actually pretend that I work for my grandfather, who's 92. Some of you may have heard me say that before. And I wonder myself, would it be okay if I was doing this and my grandfather saw me, and what would he say, right? So there's a sense of an accountability there. I'm pretty good at the systems implementation, right? So we even today gave a whole bunch of tips. Just take one and do it, and do it. I really have a knack for connecting with people. You know? I love people. 6 personal perspectives. There's a class on KWU, you don't have to wait for the class. Just go get it, the 6 personal perspectives. Look at it, study it, read it, understand it. I intend to every day increase the focus that those ideas represent.
Being consistent and doing the work and everything. Okay, great. Good, guys. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. What is your budget? What is your budget now, and what was it when you were new?
All right. My budget right now is $2,000 a month. And $2,000 a month covers my car, gas, dues, my office rent, advertising, because I run a farm. Spend about $300 a month on my farm. That includes my listing marketing budget. So I always do professional photos, and I know that I'm gonna have a couple of listings, and that's gonna cost me a couple $100. And some admin assistance. So right now I'm spending $2,000 a month. In the past, I've spent as much as $12,000 a month. And at that time, I'd say my business was probably triple or even quadruple what it is now. Right, so that, I was spending about $12,000 a month to run a $16 million business. So my recommendation to you would be to try to keep it to $8,000 a month if you're new. Those same things, $1,000 a month.
So I took that question a little bit differently, and I thought about the lead generation tools.
Okay,
Not everything. I am a Ferrier, and he believes in keeping things low. So we spend on our lead generation tools about $300 or $400 a month. And that's Rebo Gateway, RedX, the things that I was mentioning earlier. We're considering right now putting out a direct mailing campaign, and so we've allocated about $500 a month to that.
My budget when I started was 0 because I was 23 and had no money. And so I would say just pay your dues and all the little minimum things you can do, and use a lot of the free tools that your vendors will provide to get leads. My budget now is about $10,000 a month, and that includes a base salary for me, a salary for my assistant, TC, marketing, all that sort of stuff. And I'm using about 10% for marketing, so a little less than $1,000 a month.
So you maintain a corporation and you're on W-2?
Well, so actually I met Joe Lerner about 5 or 6 years ago. I started my own brokerage here in Mission Valley, and that's where my team name came from, the Bridge Coast team. And I still own it, so I still act like a corporation. That's probably a little bit more unique than most agents. It's just that I don't do business directly under Bridge Coast, it's under Keller Williams. So Keller Williams pays commission checks to Bridge Coast, and then out of that I pay myself. It's very structured. You don't need to do that. You don't.
When you decided to start spending money on your budget, what was the first thing that you spent it on?
The first good thing or the first thing?
First thing that works.
Brutally honest.
Where do you suggest you start spending money when you have a low budget?
I used to do a lot of internet leads, and I did them for about 6 years. Stopped about 2 years ago, and I just completely got burned out by them. They're a lot of work, and referrals are a lot more fun. But I spent quite a bit of money on that. If you can't afford to do that, I wouldn't. I would just, unless you can do a farm, but you're not going to get anything for it. There's a lot of things like the websites these guys are talking about, Rebo, RedX. RedX is not cheap, but if you get a couple listings out of it, you've already paid for it. So tools like that, but you have to agree to consistently prospect, because if you just spent, last time I used RedX, I think it was like $800 or $900.
For the year.
Yeah, for the year, but that's a lot of money if you're not gonna use it, so you have to commit to yourself that you're gonna, not just spend the money and say you're gonna do it, you have to do it.
It's $110 a month for both North and South County for sale by owners, expires and notices of default. $110. $110 a month. And that gives you the database system to follow up.
Is anyone using Vulcan 7? Vulcan 7? Okay, next time we'll have a meeting.
Okay.
Can I finish?
Yes, and then-
Guys, e-edge and the telephone can be your marketing when you start.
Yeah.
I mean.
And the tool that you mentioned yesterday, I beg your pardon for interrupting. What was the name of the list? What was it? It was like
Tele-listing?
Tele-listing. Right, I mean, that's, you know which one he's talking about, where you draw the line and you can call everybody every phone number in that geographical area.
And it strips off the do not calls and everything.
I guess I just wanna get down to if you're starting out and you're looking for something to do, call your.
Well, let me ask you guys really
Yes,
quick.
get that for free.
Let me ask you guys really quick, because we're on the budget. Do you all use red light, green light? Do you take a look at what you're paying out and stopping it when it's not working and putting more into it if it is working and using red light, green light?
Yes.
There's room for improvement there, I'm sensing there's room for improvement.
Definitely room for improvement. I'll tell you that my red light is Jasenia. And I am always.
Mine is my wife.
She's cute.
And I'm always the green light.
She's cute.
If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about red light, green light, you need to get back and reread the MREA book, because it's all in there as well in the budget model. Because you need to lead with revenue, correct?
Well, one of the ways I learned to lead with revenue was that I went broke and I have no credit. So I get to lead with revenue.
No choice. That's like a severe. No choice.
Yeah, and that was not your choice, that leading with revenue.
Thank God I
Great.
get to lead with revenue now.
Okay. So the big thing is play red light, green light, lead with revenue, don't go broke in this business, right? And use the things when you need them. So don't just put a lot of money out. As Billy was saying earlier, you've got the tools, they're already here for you, use them, make sure that you're knocking on the doors, that you're making your calls, etc. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so what are your challenges now?
It's all peaches and cream.
Oh, there's a song about that.
It's your turn, brother.
I think the challenges remain the same. It's about finding enough time in the day, maintaining a good schedule, time blocking, and then battling the mindset in the I guess some people call it the drunk monkey, the nerds inside that tell you that you can stop right now, you don't need to make that next phone call, that person doesn't want you to call them back. The challenges remain the same. I believe that we have not done a great job as realtors right now of getting out and telling people that it's a good time to sell.
I would say mine is a consistent pipeline, especially with listings. I guess it's a good problem to have, but all your listings keep selling, so it's hard to really have too many open houses or ways to get more business when they sell so fast. And then hiring talent, I'm looking to, I'm kind of switching gears with focusing more on the long-term talent. I hired an executive assistant last year. I have a TC, and my next hire will be probably a showing assistant within the next couple of months. So hiring talent is always a challenge when you're looking for long-term.
Yeah, same hiring talent. Specifically in my case, converting from a boutique brokerage model to the KW models, right? I've even been here 2-3 years and I'm still trying to figure out how to run my team in the context of KW. Yeah.
So hopefully we can keep working on that and get it going for you. Excellent. Okay, so what has been your growth process?
It's
a
like
very
watching a
squiggly
train
line.
wreck. I guess it's my turn. Great. So I really, even now, I'm not comfortable with failure, but I don't let that stop me from aiming for what I want. I'm experiencing a whole evolution. I've been in the business 11 years. I learned the business in the first year or two. I became a top producer within, let's say, the third year. I tried to open a brokerage that didn't work, and I failed as a broker owner. Then I reopened a brokerage that I thought was a winning model. Turns out that it was just a rising market that was buoying me and my whole team. You know, we closed over 60 transactions 3 years in a row from 07, 08, 09. Then I went broker again, right? So what I learned in this growth process was that it's important to focus on recovery. And you know, basically, I'm. Of course, it was difficult, right? It was really difficult, you know, heartbreaking even. But I think really where I'm at now is I'm pushing back into learning. I'm focusing on reading. I'm attending the KW regional training and national training events. I've decided to surrender to coaching and accountability again. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to say, I can try again.
So failing forward,
Yeah.
we heard that once before.
It's like watching a slow-mo train wreck, just, you know, with the trains kind of like that.
The optimum word here is forward.
Not over the cliff.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, I'll try to make mine short and sweet. I got in the business about 10 years ago, and I didn't really want to be in real estate, actually. I thought everybody in real estate was shady, because I had an internship in college with a broker in Point Loma that really was, and that was my only experience, and I thought, I'm never getting in that business. And then I ended up being a marketing office manager for a discount brokerage in Claremont, and the broker taught me not only can it be fun, but you can be ethical and still make a lot of money. And so then I kind of changed my attitude, and I got my broker's license, went back to school, and got another degree in entrepreneurship, so I felt comfortable starting my own brokerage. One night I was in the shower, and you know, everyone was just talking about how it was 2007, the market was crazy, nobody knew what was going on, you know, things were changing quite a bit, and I was in the shower and I just decided, you know what, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, if I'm ever gonna make a big move, now's the time. And so the next morning I got up and I started my brokerage, and everyone thought I was crazy to start a real estate, you know, little mom and pop shop in 2007, but it was the best decision I made, and I was so confident that it was the right decision regardless of the outcome, that I didn't care what anybody else said. And I'm so glad that I did, because it turned out well.
Growth is up and down. It's never been a bell curve. It's never just been, you know, constant growth up and up and up and up and up and up. It's always gonna be a juggling act of going up and down. It's constant pursuit of that mindset of where you want to be, and it's always striving for our goals. Something that hit me so hard was I was at the family reunion listening to Chris Heller's assistant talk at one of the assistant meetings, and she said that the mega agents are always thinking about what they can be doing differently, better, next, and that's something that I've always associated with. So I may fail at something today, but I'm going to try it to see if I can do it, and then if it works, then I'm going to keep on doing it and implement systems for that. But then also, I'm not afraid to try new things to see if I can make that growth go up faster.
Great.
I have a question for you guys. I feel like I've had a lot of great ideas that didn't work, and sometimes I wonder if they just weren't good ideas or if they were just at the wrong time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've spent money on all kinds of stuff that didn't work, and maybe I wonder if I went and did some of them a little differently, or maybe tried them in a different market or in a different situation. Do you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, no, of course, because I think that either you're personally not set up for it, your business isn't set up for it, or
The wrong time.
it's the wrong time. Maybe your growth personally wasn't at that stage yet to fully implement that, of course.
Great. Thanks, guys. Let's move forward a little bit here. What does your schedule look like?
I wake up around 6:30. Depends if we have kids.
Can you answer that
I do get up earlier than him.
Anyway, we're typically to the office between 8:30 and 9. We're on the phones until 12. Okay, sometimes that bleeds over. When we're going to appointments after 1 o'clock until about 3:30 or 4. If we have more appointments, then that's fine, but if we don't, we then go back into prospecting. Most recently, what we've been doing though is from 4 until about 7:30, we've been door knocking.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you talk about door knocking, because I noticed you said that earlier, how much time do you actually devote to it? I mean, is it like, are you talking like 2 hours a week, or are you talking like 15 hours a week? And is it consistent every week?
Yes,
It is?
yes.
Is it like, what amount of time every week would you say you actually do that?
It's in the afternoons when people are home from anywhere starting from about 4
Gotcha.
or when we're done with writing the offers or putting things together in the office, but it's after, or when most people would be going home,
Right.
that's when we do
You
it.
actually go out and meet people,
Yes.
right?
Billy, you said from 9:30 to typically 12, you're making calls. Who are you calling?
Expireds, for sale by owner, past clients, lead follow-up, people from the previous day,
People we met in open houses.
people we meet at open houses, outbound calls.
So when you
Outbound
show up
calls.
that morning, you already know who you're calling, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As it defaults to expireds first, for sale by owners next, and then leads. Leads. 70% of our appointments are set on lead follow-up. The initial call is not where, it's very infrequent when you call an expired the day they expire and then you go list the property. It is much more common that 2 weeks have passed, they have not relisted their house, and then they're willing to open up and talk to this guy. So I feel like some days I'm just beating my head against the walls and going through the process of, I just must make this phone call to this guy, but most of the time I'm going to call 2 weeks late, 3 weeks, 3 months. The other day I was going through people who expired in October and November of last year.
And your schedule?
I do accountability 4 days a week, or role play scripting. It starts anywhere between 7:30 in the morning and 9. I'm not a morning person, so that has been an adjustment for me to be up and running and working by 7:30. And then scripting usually afterwards. And then with prospecting, I'm not as consistent with my times. Usually I try to make it 9 to 11. It depends on what kind of prospecting I'm doing for the day. If I'm going to do an open house, then it'll be door knocking in advance. It could be just calling Sphere, expireds, FISBOs, whatever it is. But I tend to get bored easily, so I can't usually do much more than 2 hours, or I start to get a little fidgety, and even if it means I have to change it up and maybe just doing an hour of calling and an hour of door knocking, something like that. But I have to change it up because I'm probably not as focused as these two up here.
See, that's an interesting perception though, because I think everybody, it's a question of discipline, right? You know, everybody thinks, oh, well, that guy must be really disciplined. But I gotta tell you, I don't feel that disciplined. I work 60 hours a week, including 8 to 6 Monday through Friday. I work at home at night, 2 hours per night, typical. I work at least 5 hours per weekend. I schedule vacation time according to my wife's calendar. She's a teacher, so I stick with the regular school cycle, right? I'm often the first person here, and I'm often the last to leave. Because I get after it like that.
Sound disciplined.
The only problem with that though is that Joan Werner does think that I might leave a permanent ass print on that chair.
I already offered to buy you lifted.
And that's why I stand up when prospecting.
All right, thanks.
Can I ask a question? Do you guys leave messages if you get a voicemail, or do you just call back or hang up and call back?
It depends on the feeling that I have from the voicemail.
Nice.
I mean, I don't have a rhyme or reason. I do some days leave voicemails all day long, and sometimes I don't.
Because
I got a
between
call
those
on the way-
hours of 9 and 11, are most people at work? Or
I
they're
got
not reaching-
I got a call this morning from a guy who I left a voicemail to yesterday. He's coming in tomorrow to list his house.
I like the part about where he said he's coming in to list the house.
Coming
He
in.
doesn't like to go out to their homes.
I don't like people's houses.
Especially if it's a short sale,
I don't remember
right?
the last time he went to list the house.
Especially if it's a short sale.
Okay, now taking a look at this, I mean, if we take a look at what their schedules look like and kind of what's there, I heard lead generation, I heard knocking on doors, I heard in the morning time making their calls, 9 to 11 making their calls, you're here making calls.
In the morning.
They're here making their calls every day. Is there any science behind that? It's all there. That's what you need to do. You need to do 2 to 4 hours of lead generation every single day. And that's what they're doing. Okay, so let's move on. What does your team look like?
My team consists of me plus 2 and 3 that I mentor. I'll be adding a EA, an executive assistant, or an assistant executive very soon. For those of you that are deep in the parlance, right? We don't want an executive assistant, we want an assistant executive. I'm going to continue to outsource my TC work, my short sale negotiation, and as much technical marketing like website, Craigslist, virtual assistants as possible.
Great.
I have an executive assistant, a virtual assistant I use on occasion, and TC.
Jasenia and I, Jasenia, our lead, we have Netta, who is our executive assistant, also acts as a transaction coordinator. We have Jed and Jamili as agents, and then I think our next hire will be showing assistant specifically.
Great. So the teams look a little bit different. The thing is they're all working. So you keep those growing. Okay, wonderful. So how has your business changed over the last few years?
Well, I'm rebuilding, right? My previous business was huge, right, but was not sustainable. The next breakthrough is to follow the model, right? I don't want this cycle anymore. I want to build a business that has longevity, that is sustainable in any market, that gives me, that lets me embody the mission of Keller Williams, right? I want to have a business that's worth owning. And through that, I'll have a life worth living.
Oh, listen, you heard that. I've heard that before.
I know, like, wait a minute.
I'll have to echo the same thing. Coming from Century 21, we did not have the system set up that Keller Williams offers, and so when I was at Century 21, I wanted to build a team, but they never supplied the source of how to get that team off the ground. Whereas Keller Williams has provided that, the systems that are in the Red Book, listening, going and seeing other agents who have put these systems into place. I resisted it even the first when we came here, but at the same time that I have come to discover that the systems here are, they work. So how we've grown over the last years, we are going to be, and we are in the process of putting together the systems that the Keller Williams suggests.
Following the model.
Following the model. 100%.
I think it's easy to try to fight it if you think that for example, if you're a new agent and you join Keller Williams, you don't have any sort of idea of what the other options are, so you almost have a big advantage being a new agent coming into Keller Williams. Whereas if you've been in the business for a while, like me, you might think, oh, I know what I'm doing. I don't need the Keller Williams system, but you can fight it as long as you want. But once you actually read it and start to understand it, it's like going through Recruit Select for me. That was just a huge slap in the face. Like, what have I been doing the last, I had built up a team when I owned my brokerage of 7 agents at one point, and I did it all wrong. Everything I did was wrong. I learned a lot, but if I had been at Keller Williams earlier, I think I probably would have learned that. Joe can attest to that.
I tried to ask my landlord if she would let cash, like my rent checks as if they were all my failures, and she said, no, I actually had to pay real money. So, yeah, the failures are tough, and they're learning, but, they hurt, and you don't necessarily make money. I've learned a lot of stuff, but results count. You gotta have the results.
Excellent, thanks guys. Okay, just got a couple more questions here. So with all the options and avenues available as a new agent, open houses, door knocking, going after FSBOs, expires, etc., which practices did you use in the first 6 months to a year? And looking back, would you have done something different?
The first 6 months of my career, I was handed a tape cassette of Mike Ferry, and he told me over that cassette to go talk to expired listings. And so for this first 6 months of my career, I went and talked to expired listings. I took my first listing in 3 months and then never looked back. That fit my personality style. Luckily, that fit my personality style very, very well. So I would suggest to find something that fits your personality, whether if you like door knocking around a just listed, just sold, if you like for sale by owners, if you like open houses, just go pick one of those tools and get very good at it, and then expand from there. So build from a core and a foundation, and then get bigger, or whatever you like.
So looking back, would you have done anything different, or was that
No.
good foundation?
That was a
for
good
you?
foundation for me.
Perfect.
I think I focused a lot on referrals of like friends when I was just getting the business. Like I said, I was 23 years old, and that was not the right way to go, because people at 23 don't have any money to buy a house. They're just graduating college, they're struggling to get by, and so my sphere at the time was very limited, and that was a huge challenge. And I didn't want to cold call, I didn't want to prospect, other than telling a few people here and there that I did real estate. So that was a huge struggle for me. I think when you're just getting the business, you just have to accept who your sphere is, use them if you can, make the calls. If you're scared of cold calling, try to focus on referrals, and just do the best you can. And if that doesn't work, you've got to try something else.
I approached it, I think, similar to what Billy suggested, right? Try to find something you really like. So I was looking at the whole transaction, the marketing part of it, the meeting people, the negotiating, the running the escrow, and then eventually I decided my favorite part actually was the cashing the paycheck. So I tried to focus on the cashing the paycheck. But what I found out was that just focusing on that that's just a silly comment, right? I had to pick something, and in a way I probably had to pick the part, something I didn't even like. But I did a lot with Craigslist, and I was very successful with that, and I don't think I would do that again if I had to do it again this time, because that was the right time for that, and I'm not sure that is the right time for new people now. Instead, you might have to pick something you really like, and I think that would be the first choice, but if you can't, if you can muster the courage and emotional energy to work with people that are in distress, short sales, if you can connect with those people and be empathetic and really help them, it's a pretty good feeling when you do it. And it is a listing, and the chances to get both sides in a short sale are much higher, and it can be a win-win.
I got a quick question. I mean, I hear you guys say, like, if you pick something that you guys like or feel comfortable with. I mean, at what point, because there's only so many things that can't be done, right? Real estate is real estate when it comes down to it. Open houses, calling expires, there's only a handful of things that can be done. I think the constant rebuttal I hear coming from a lender's perspective is that, you hear agents say, well, I don't like doing open houses, they don't work. Or, I don't like calling expires, or I don't like door knocking. It seems to be an easy way out. Like, at what point do you guys decide to step out of your comfort zone and say, okay, well, this is not working this way, but we're gonna make this shift, and we're gonna make this shift, so that some of these maybe newer agents don't get caught up in that pattern and they realize that they're not really specializing in anything. when it comes to doing their business?
Well, when that day came 3 years into my business, when I was tired of talking to an expired. I was like, this is not what I want for the next 15 years. I do not want to do that. That day came, and at that point in time, I looked back and saw, okay, what was I not doing? And that was talking to my sphere. I would much rather have talked to a person who I never knew before than talk to people who like loved me, knew me, wanted me to be successful in my life. And I said, okay, those people I've ignored. And so I had to build a lot of rapport with those folks to get them back into my life. And it's taken now 3 or 4 years, but a good 20-30% of our business is referrals now. So there was a day when I said, you know, I cannot just do this one thing anymore, and I have to be willing to go outside of my comfort zone. And from that, I then have learned how to do open houses, door knocking, everything else. I've been a lot more versatile in how we get business.
The last question, I'm gonna change a little bit. It says here, what's the first step for us in the audience? And I wanna change this to, what is the one thing that these agents can do as agents? What's the one thing that they can do to help their business right now?
I would say the one thing you can do that is free and can really change your business is to find an accountability partner. And not somebody who you're friends with, not somebody probably who you're married to, they'll probably be too nice. Somebody maybe you don't know, or even better, somebody you don't really like. Because they will be hard on you, and that's what you need. If you're not doing the business that you want, an accountability partner is free, and that, to me, that changed my business a lot. And I just started doing one consistently for about the last year, and I'm already seeing huge changes in my business because I'm competitive and I'm stubborn, and I don't like people to see that I'm not doing something that I should. So that helps me. And if you feel like an accountability partner would help you, then find one, either in this office or through the Facebook KW site or through eEdge.
Great, thanks.
Jeremy?
I don't know if this is one thing, but it's 3 things. I think what you should do is the 411.
That works.
The 411, right? There's one yearly goal, one monthly goal within that, and 4 weeks to make it happen. So do the 411, do the cash talks, right? That's a weekly assessment of your knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits.
Okay.
Knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits.
Cash with a K.
Yeah. Time block. And be absolutely ferocious about keeping your schedule and being consistent. If you time block and do the exact same activities every single day, day in and day out. If you think about it, Tiger Woods wakes up every single day and he goes to the putting green and he putts how many ever putts he does, and he goes to the driving range, he does the exact same amount of swings every single day, day in, day out, and then it looks like he's the best person in the world when it comes to Torrey Pines, but it's because of all the things that he's done leading up to that point. So if you can time block, do the exact same things every single day, you will be successful in this business.
Excellent. Any other questions? I think we have, no time, but if anybody has something that's really burning right now, let's go ahead and ask that for the panel.
I think you answered a lot of the
Well,
questions.
any other website you can use besides the Repo Gateway and Rodex?
There's Land Voice, there's
Foreclosure Radar,
Foreclosure Radar, there's Lead Senders, there's other sources out there.
Arch Telecom.
Yeah. The thing that I found about RedX is it's a platform that looks exactly like Microsoft Outlook. It can set tasks, it can set reminders, it allows you to flag things, you can color code, you can make notes, you can sort, you can export it. It's very, very powerful. And if you're going to make the commitment, and then really ultimately is the commitment, to going after for sale by owners or expireds or notices of default, if you're gonna make that commitment, it's the best.
Now, we have one more thing that we're gonna be talking about as far as you helping your listings, to getting listings, so we're gonna go through that, but before we get into that, we'd like to thank the panel.